I love art in all its forms, as a personal expression of one's creativity. I love diversity and multiculturalism. I love learning new ways of communicating and a fight for people's rights. I am a creative, always looking for technological innovations to understand what are the new means of applying creativity. I'm a non-stop content producer who communicates through visual images and video as well as through words and music. I'm a European journalist who wants to create a bridge between the old and the new, showing the technological developments of the world through people's experiences. I am an artist who loves color, and like peacocks, I'm not afraid to show them off. I am a woman, and I am a mother. And I would like women in the business world to be allowed to remain women without having to be a photocopy of some male version. My first experience related to the world of immersive technologies was dated September 2018, when I decided to step out of my comfort zone, follow my instinct, and take risks, taking my son, who was only 11 years old, to see the Ars Electronica Festival in Linz, in Austria, one of the most innovative exhibitions in Europe, combining art, electronics, music, artificial intelligence, new technology as a VR, AR, and it was a very wonderful experience. My life has been difficult, but I wouldn't be there if everything that happened to me hadn't happened to me. But it's so difficult to understand where to start, and above all, to be concise, as my English friends always point out to me, who deal with business constantly and to whom I will always reply, I'm Italian, we have so many words to use. My first interest was Africa. At 22 years old, I fell in love with a Congolese boy and turned him into one of those charming princes who no longer exist. I owe my current ability to understand the cultural difference of the world to my curiosity about its culture, so different from that of Europe. In the 15 years that I have been with him, I have studied the history of Africa. I wrote a thesis entitled Contemporary African Art, a study that had a great success at the university and the institutional level in 2002. I learned French to be able to talk to my mother-in-law. I made a project to bring South African artist Esther Malangu and a group of Ndebele women to Florence of his tribe to paint the external walls of the Nelson Mandela Forum in Florence, ex-sport hall, which was supported by the Nelson Mandela Foundation in South Africa, the municipality of Florence, and the Nelson Mandela Association of Florence. And I got married and I had a beautiful son. Only study and knowledge give you the opportunity to make choices. In 2010, I attended a specialization master at RAI in Florence with the Faculty of Engineering, and I specialized in multimedia content design. It was the most fruitful part of my life, which helped me understand how creativity and art could evolving use new technology. You will get out of here and you'll be able to produce multimedia video content, but you will also be able to converse with programmers. This was the words of a professor at the time. In reality, I came out for these masters, and the first job I found was that of managing a website in HTML. So I had to learn not only to communicate with programmers, but also to write in code. Thanks to his master, I had found 3 jobs at the same time, 2 for publishing houses and another for the University of Florence. It was the time the first social networks were born, and my experiences on the net were made before courses in this sector were institutionalized. At the end of September 2012, I discovered that I have a breast cancer. My whole life started running. Visits, biopsies, urgent operation, family brainstorming on chemotherapy, hair loss, but above all, an abandonment by my husband, who, instead of supporting me, leaves home. I could no longer find answer in religion and no longer had a chance to confront my husband. The poetry of love had crumbled into itself. There are no words to describe the difficulty of raising a son completely alone, to which you have to explain at the same time the reason why the mother can no longer take him on the neck and the father has left home. While your body doesn't support you, your hair is struggling to grow back. Love seems to have completely evaporated in the air, and makeup become your only defense against the world. Around that time, I started making up my eyes with a very strong black line. People called me the Egyptian because I tended to make up my eyes so much just to draw attention to a spot on my face that wasn't my hairless head or my obvious wigs of so many different colors and types. I needed to find a new motivation in my life, which involved me as much as art had done in the first 30 years of my existence, and gave me the hope that there could still be something beautiful to life. I had survived death, and I needed a new motivation. How could I reconnect my former life to the one I was living at that moment? I live out the story of the difficult period between December 2012 and September 2018, and I go back to Leeds. I decided for the first time to take my 11 years old son to take a night trip by train to Linz to go and see one of the festivals I dreamed of so much, Ars Electronica Festival. I promised my son that I would never abandon him and that I would always take him with me to every place in the world where I would go, even if I went there for work. It was an exciting journey, a unique experience that made me glimpse a road, but I only understood it some time later. For the first time in many years, I tried to understand who I was and what I wanted from my life. A few years later, I discovered that in October 2019, a great expo called AWE Europe was to be held in Munich on new technologies. I have always looked at virtual reality with distrust because I consider it could compared to the painting techniques I had learned to the Academy of Fine Arts. But I was curious to meet this world, and Munich was a perfect opportunity. I introduced myself to AWE Europe Munich as a journalist apprentice. At the time, I was writing and making videos for a small provincial newspaper with an attempt to enroll in the register of Italian journalists. AWE Europe was a truly exciting experience. The approach with all these new technologies, the difficulty of the English language, the event that followed one after the other, and the possibility that the organization of AWE gave me when I told him that I would have my son with me, because I was alone and I could not leave him at home, made me understand that perhaps that was the right path to follow. The most particularly anecdote of that experience was the interview with ARea6DoF. I hadn't prepared anything, and all of a sudden a spoken person came to the press office announcing that ARea would soon be available for interviews. I prepared 5 questions at the speed of light in a terrible English, hidden by Google Translate, and almost holding my breath. I took courage and put myself in the shoes of a real established journalist. At the end of the interview, ARea asked me where I published that interview, and when I told him that it would go to a provincial newspaper, he was a bit surprised and gave me 2 tips. He wanted me to write in a technology newspaper and that his video was dubbed in Italian and subtitled in Italian. 4 years later, I realized was ARea6DoF pointed out to me in 2019. My blog, ARea6DoF, has just become a full-fledged newspaper, but it was a long way to get to where I'm now. I never prove my age, and everyone attributes me to being about 10 years younger, so they treat me as someone who has 10 years less experience than me, and that bothers me extremely. I had a lot of trouble starting to organize international event online. Back from Munich, I tried to contact AWE to create a focus on new technologies in Italy, but there had already been an attempt to organize AWE Nite in Italy, and for various reasons, nothing had started. The previous organizer had moved abroad, and I did not live in Milan, the reference city of the industry sector. I asked that the reference city of AWE Nite would become Florence, which was my city, a cross between Rome and Milan, outside the industrial circuit and immersed in art. But there were initially many hesitations on the part of the organization. I was able to involve Anthony Vitillo as the organizer of AWE Nite with me. The first AWE Nite Florence event was built in January 2021, and to date we have made 9, all of them with great success. Over 30 Italian and foreign professionals were involved during the AWE Nite Florence. They were advertised in the AWE newsletter and published on AWE YouTube channel, as well within in the AWE Live application. Flying into the Metaverse Through Books and Culture is a project that was born in May 2022 in collaboration with AWE, aims to highlight the cultural trend already present in the Metaverse, highlighting studies and research carried out by professionals in the XR sector who have been working on the development of new technologies and have seen the evolution of the technology sector from when virtual reality was still something unknown to get to the birth of the Metaverse and the approach of these technologies of the highest level toward the mainstream. In the June 2022, GatherVerse and its big community joins the project Flying into the Metaverse Through Books and Culture and helps to guarantee the project. I'm very happy to create this project, and I go to research every time people that love write and read book on the XR sector. My name is Cecilia Lascialfari, co-founder of ARea6DoF.com, European journalist, creative strategist, technologist, photographer, videomaker, and artist. This is the first time for me that I made a speech, and I need to tell thank you to the GatherVerse community for this occasion, and I hope that my speech is interesting for all of you, and thank you all of you for being here with me. Bye.